Hi, I'm Amber Lorio with Dudley DeBosier Injury Lawyers, and today I'm going to talk about the steps to take after a big truck wreck. I've got some questions here that are the most common questions that people ask after a big truck wreck. What is the first thing you should do after a big truck wreck? The first thing that you should do is take photos of everything that you can take a photo of. License plate, the sides of the trucks, the DOT number on the truck, any uniform that the driver may be wearing, and a picture of the driver. Also, check to see if there are any independent witnesses who saw what happened, because they can become very useful down the line. All right, next question. How is a big truck wreck different than a regular car accident? The most major difference would be the risk for catastrophic injury or death. A truck is much larger than a regular car, so it tends to cause a lot more injury. Another way that they differ is that truck drivers can be very elusive. There are a lot of hit and run accidents involving big trucks. I mean, let's face it, this is their livelihood. If they can run from a wreck that they caused to keep their job, they're going to run. So those are probably the two most major differences. What evidence is most important in a truck accident case? There's a lot of evidence that is very important, but it's mostly the physical evidence. And physical evidence is gathered from things like photos of the roadway, the skid marks, photos of the driver, the black box data from the truck is very important. Eyewitness accounts. When I say black box data, what I mean is all these big trucks have an electronic data recorder, and they call it a black box. And that data recorder records driving behaviors like slamming of the brakes, harsh turning, different things like that. It shows you speed. It shows you when they first hit their brakes before hitting the car. And so it's data that doesn't lie. It can't be manipulated, and it just gives a lot of information leading up to a crash. Those are probably the most important pieces of evidence. How do truck driver logs, black boxes, or maintenance records impact a case? All three of those can have a major impact on a case. Let's first talk about driver's logs. The federal government requires long-haul drivers to keep driver's logs because drivers tend to drive too long during the day. They get fatigued. They cause crashes. And so there are certain federal regulations like hours of service that they can be on the road before they have to stop and sleep and so forth. And so those driver's logs will tell you how long they have driven in a given day, or how many hours they have driven in the last 3 days. And it also will tell you if they violated those federal regulations. Black boxes. The black box data, it records driving behaviors like hard braking, harsh turning. It detects speed. It detects how long it takes to stop the vehicle. So that data is invaluable because, again, it cannot be manipulated. It doesn't lie. And so black box data is key. Maintenance records, huge. Maintenance records are big because think about this. Think about a driver who goes to the company and says, "Hey boss, my brakes are going out. I hit them and I'm not really stopping. I'm afraid I'm gonna hit somebody." And the manager says, "I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of life left in those brakes. Let's go a little bit longer. We'll talk about it next month at our next meeting or whatever." Next day, driver hits his brakes, can't stop, hits a family of 4, kills them. That company knew about the brakes. The driver tried to do something about it. Company didn't do anything about it. And so maintenance records are huge. It lets you know what was going on with that vehicle leading up to this crash, and did it contribute to the cause of the crash, and did the company and or the driver know about the issue that ultimately caused the crash. Can you seek compensation from multiple parties like the driver and the trucking company? Yes, a lot of times you can, because some drivers are independent contractors and they're just carrying a load for somebody else going to deliver it. And so you might have the driver's insurance policy that may owe you compensation, and then the company that he was hauling for. Also, sometimes there are brokers involved. A broker is somebody that puts a driver together with a company to get a delivery job in place. A lot of those brokers have policies as well, so you definitely need to turn over every leaf because there are multiple parties who may owe compensation for a wreck. What are the common mistakes people make after a big truck accident? Not calling a lawyer is probably the biggest mistake because it's super time sensitive on gathering evidence that will make or break your case. But I would say that's the biggest mistake. Second biggest mistake is really not gathering the evidence, but you can't fault a victim for that because they don't know that they need to gather the evidence. Or maybe they're too injured to gather the evidence. But gathering the evidence is the critical thing in the very beginning that you've got to get on and fast before the evidence disappears. And a lot of times the victim doesn't know how to do that. They were too injured to do it themselves. And so really hiring a lawyer right away is the biggest mistake that somebody could make. How soon should you contact an attorney after a truck wreck? You need to do it immediately because it is so time sensitive with the evidence. And the evidence can be anything from tracking down independent witnesses to sending the driver, the company, or the insurance company a preservation letter. What that means is a letter putting everybody on notice. Preserve the evidence. I want you to preserve the black box. I want you to preserve the driver's logs. I want you to preserve the driver's cell phone records. I want you to preserve the dash cam. Almost all these trucks have dash cam now. They might look at that dash cam and not like it and delete it. So you got to really get that preservation letter out very soon, asking them to preserve all of that critical data. So contacting a lawyer the very first day is absolutely the safest bet. If you or a loved one has been hurt in a big truck wreck, call me at Dudley DeBosier. We're here for Louisiana and we're here for you.